Hello everyone, my name is Kimberly. Join me today as I interview Liana Polikatis. She has recently published this wonderful book, very heartwarming. It's called Sam the Dog with Diabetes. It's amazing for young children and newly diagnosed families. Stay tuned, it's very heartwarming and inspirational. Hi, Sam. Hi. Kobe, say hi. There's Sam. Hi. So welcome, Liana.
Yeah.
It's my pleasure to be with you today. I'm really impressed that you were able to write a book for young children. There is hardly any on the market. And in the beginning, it's so important to feel like you can be able to connect in with something like a book to give you comfort. I love it. So obviously, you have your dog Sam. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was he one of the inspirations for writing this book?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I've loved animals growing up, and I think that I wanted to create a book that really connected younger children with strong characters. And I think, especially dogs, they're considered man's best friend. And I think that reigns true with all ages, especially young children. And so Sam, of course, he's been an inspiration to me. I love him a lot. So I
Aw,
wanted to write a book.
so
I know.
sweet.
I wanted to write a book with him included.
It's wonderful. Does Sam actually have diabetes like in the book?
He does not, no. But I think, I thought that being able to have kids kind of relate to an animal, even if the animal does have diabetes, it kind of shows that, wow, like Sam, the dog has diabetes just like myself. I think that really connects kids with the book a little bit better.
I do. And I love in the book how you showed Sam needing water
Yeah.
or needing snacks when the blood sugar was different. I mean, it's very tangible and very straightforward. Yes.
Yeah, sure.
So how long did it take you to write this book?
Yeah, I think from like start to finish, it was about 5 or 6 months. Just thinking of the concepts and kind of sketching out my ideas. I think it kind of took around that time frame.
Right. And how old were you when you were diagnosed with type 1?
I was in fourth grade, so fairly young. I remember actually when I was diagnosed, I actually read a book to my class and telling them about diabetes. And I think that was a great way of introducing my friends to type 1 diabetes. I was very not afraid to show that I had diabetes. I was not afraid to show my pump, my CGM. And I think that there's kind of that smaller age group that doesn't have that yet. And I kind of wanted to address that. Just kids that are just learning to read.
I agree. It really normalizes it. And when my daughter was diagnosed, she was 9. She's in the fourth grade too. And one of the biggest things that I felt was helpful for us and for her friends was just really normalizing it and talking about it. So I think that was a great idea, just bringing it out in the open and letting everybody know that you're healthy, you're fine, you just have to take insulin. It's really
Sure.
sweet.
Yeah, I think unlike myself, I think some kids do feel sometimes a shame around, showing devices or having an issue. And I think it's important, like you said, to just talk more and more about it at that young age, just because even as you get older, it gets even harder, I think, as you grow into those teenager years.
Yes. One of the things I find with the teenage years, it's harder to sometimes talk about because you're more body conscious. How did you, as you grew up, how did you share that you had type 1 with someone like your boyfriend?
Like I said, for me, it was somewhat easy. I think I wanted to share and wanted to get the word out, and I've always had that mindset just growing up. And so I was very upfront and honest all of the time.
Yes.
I was excited to kind of share what would happen if my blood sugar went low, what I would be feeling, or if my blood sugar went high. I think it's important to, have that community around you that cares about you. And I think that showing them what you have actually brings the connection stronger. You really kind of grow in the learning and the growth, and you meet people that probably don't have any idea what diabetes is, and they're learning then as you're teaching them. And I think that really benefits them in the long run too.
Yeah, I agree. What are the people's response, your peers' response when you tell them you have type 1 and you show them?
I mean, it varies a lot. I think that, you know, I just think that a lot of people just don't know anything about it. So they kind of just say, oh, okay, cool. Like, I don't think people are judging. I don't think people really necessarily know what's going on, which sometimes works in our benefit because, I don't feel any worry of telling them. And then if I do, and if they ask questions, I'm happy to answer. I think that it's good to be open and honest and letting them know like, hey, like I have to wear this device. And if they hear beeps, that's a big thing for me is my device beeps a lot.
Yeah,
And a lot of kids' devices beep a lot.
it's true.
But I think I've kind of turned it into like joking, oh, my music is coming off, things like that, where it's kind of more of a playful environment,
Yes.
and not treating it as in like, oh, I got to turn it off really quickly. Because I think that kind of, makes everyone really comfortable in the room around you. If you're like, oh, haha, my device is going off, like it's fine, I'm fine, everything is good. And hopefully they kind of understand that it's just a part of your daily life and you're no different than everyone else.
Yeah, that's really important to know that most people are more curious and want to know exactly what's going on and how they can maybe even help versus feeling uncomfortable about it. I
Yeah,
agree. That's always been our response. I would say most people are really more curious and want to understand it versus being taboo. So I agree
yeah,
with you. Whatever you can do to own it makes everyone around you feel better.
for sure.
So, how has Sam been helpful in your life and, with managing type 1?
Yeah, I think with everyone who, has health challenges or struggles with type 1 diabetes or has, the daily challenges associated with it, I think having an animal that I come home to every day, let's say I'm struggling one day with a low blood sugar and I'm frustrated, I come home and it's the same response from my dog, right? Like he's coming down the stairs, he's wagging his tail. It doesn't really matter how I'm feeling. And I think that's been really special in my life. No matter how I'm feeling, I come home to a happy dog. And I think, that helps a lot of people and a lot of other challenges that they face. And so with other type 1 diabetics, I think it's important to have, an animal in their lives. I think it helps a lot.
Yeah, it certainly helps minimize the stress. And I even know for myself, taking care of my husband and I, and even my other daughter, Samantha, having Kobe in our house. We got Kobe right after our daughter was diagnosed, and it was with the intention of enhancing quality of life and that love connection that you can just hold them and they make you feel better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And I had a different dog when I was diagnosed, a golden retriever, and I grew,
Aw.
I know, she was so cute. I grew so close to her during that time too. And I think it's because, I would just talk to her and I wasn't obviously expecting a response, but just having that, you know, ability to say whatever you want to say and there's no judgment. The animal loves you unconditionally no matter what. So.
Exactly. Have you ever thought of getting a dog that's called a diabetes assist dog? They're trained to smell the blood sugar changes when a person goes high or low. Sometimes people, I've heard, opt for having an animal be kind of like your alarm system versus wearing a pump or giving, as a way to manage it. What are your thoughts about that? Have you ever thought of getting a dog like that yourself?
I think for me, I've more of seen dogs not necessarily associated with my diabetes, and I think diabetic dogs are amazing, and some people, really benefit from them, and I think they can do extraordinary things. I've seen one act before, and it's amazing. But for me, I think that my devices have given me an increased quality of life that I don't necessarily need a diabetic dog, and I think they've allowed me to kind of take manage myself of my diabetes, and not necessarily need that. But I do know that people sometimes might need the diabetic dogs. I guess for me, I don't think that it would be like a supplement. Like I think it'd be a supplement to a device. I think devices are amazing. I'm a
Right.
biomedical engineer myself, and I'm a big fan of technology, and what it can do for us, especially if you're able to get this technology. And so I think if I did get a diabetic dog, it would be in addition to the devices that I do have.
Ah, great. Is there another dog in your future for Sam?
Unfortunately, Sam is not a dog-friendly dog. I
Oh,
wish
okay. He
he
wants all
was.
your attention.
I know, he only wants me.
So getting back to the technology, I also am a huge fan of it. It's made quality of life so much better, and as a mom, I can feel more peace when I have to sleep at night. Um, do you recommend younger children? That's a big question I always get. Younger children getting a pump?
Yeah, I mean, as a biomedical engineer, like I said, I'm a big fan of technology. And, one thing I thought about was it not only is a burden on the child or the type 1 diabetic patient, but it's also a burden on the parents, like you're saying. I know my parents, they'd wake up at 1 or 2 a.m. every day to test my blood sugar before we had all of the technology that we do have. And so I think that the technology allows us to first have some peace of mind. And then also, it's programmed to increase the quality of life and the longevity of our lives. And I think that if you're able to get the technology, yeah, I would urge people to get it because it can do some extraordinary things. I know for myself, it's brought down my A1C extraordinarily. Even as the years went on, I didn't really have a pump in the first couple of years I was diagnosed. And then once I got the pump, I at first had some apprehension, but then it helped me so much with my daily life.
I agree. I agree completely. I have peace of mind when I know my daughter's not in the house or if she needs to sleep over. That wasn't the case before the pump. Now there's a comfort level for sure. How involved were your parents growing up with type 1?
Yeah, my parents were very involved, and I'm very grateful for that. They got me involved in diabetes camps. They were really in charge of kind of helping me manage my diabetes and making me feel that it wasn't this huge burden. They kind of treated it as, like a show and tell for my friends. Like, oh, look at Liana she has diabetes, and I was so excited to share to people. Like I was so excited to show people and tell people about diabetes. And I think my parents kind of instilled that in me to not be afraid to tell people about it, and to really open myself to questions and embracing that in my career as well.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So what do you do for a living? I'm curious.
Yeah. So I'm a biomedical engineer, and I started that because of type 1 diabetes, because of the technology.
Whoa.
I know.
Wow, really?
No, yes, yeah.
I'm
I
impressed. So the type 1 and all this technology gave you such an inspiration to like make a career.
for sure, yeah.
Wow. So are you
I
working
know.
directly with type 1 technology?
So currently I'm not. I wanted to kind of work on technologies that if people otherwise didn't have it, then it would improve likely outcomes for survival. I guess more more impactful devices that don't exist currently. So that's kind of what I'm working on is new exploratory devices for cardiovascular applications. I don't know, maybe in my future, it'd be awesome to work on diabetic devices as well. But right now, I think that's kind of where I'm at.
Oh, I think it's incredible. Do you have any advice for newly diagnosed families? Because I'm assuming anybody who would want to read this book, I mean, I totally recommend it. It's heartwarming, any age, but though, like you said, children that are learning how to read, it's so heartwarming.
Thank you.
Any advice to the parents that just found out their child was diagnosed and they come across this video and they want to get this book? Any advice? Yeah.
I think that, it can be nerve-wracking, and I want to tell newly diagnosed patients and parents that it's okay. There's a community out there that's willing to open up and answer any questions that you have. And it's not as scary as it may seem. I think that really just taking it all in at the beginning, and being open to devices, being open to talking to people about things, really looking at things for yourself and being open to becoming involved with communities. There are camps out there for your children that they can speak with other people and kids that have the same disease that they have, is really important in the beginning. And I guess whatever they're able to come across, like these books and resources, I just urge them to utilize it as much as they can, especially if the kid is really young.
But here's this incredible book. So where can we purchase your book?
Yeah, so the book is purchasable on Amazon.
Amazon?
You just search the title, it'll show it.
It's called Sam the Dog with Diabetes. And how is your book doing?
It's doing well. At one point, it sold so many copies in that one day that it was in the top 100 for children's illnesses, which
Oh,
was
congratulations.
amazing.
Congratulations. Have actually anybody that's bought the book reached out to you?
Yeah, a few people. Some people posted videos of their children reading it on Facebook, which was so heartwarming to see.
Oh, wow, I love that.
And asking
Yeah.
questions, and it
Oh,
was
it's
great.
incredible. Oh, wow. So it took you 5 or 6 months, you said, to write the book.
Yep.
And actually, did you draw the pictures as well?
No, I worked with an independent illustrator.
Okay.
On it.
Is there anything else you want to highlight about the book? I mean,
One thing that I've been talking a lot about is my sister. She's about to go to college, and she's about to start her career. And, I think that finding out what your passion is and really looking into yourself of, is there anything that I can see myself doing that'll either help people, or I guess just like finding what you really enjoy, just like me, like having type 1 diabetes has really encouraged me to follow that passion. And I guess I just want to tell people to follow that calling and follow that passion that they can see themselves doing in the future. I know biomedical engineering has been so rewarding because I followed that dream, and I just think that's.
I think it's so incredible and fantastic. You really found a great way to put all your energy into something so important like that, and it's so relatable to you. It's incredible. Okay, well, I want to thank you very much. I think this is a great way to get people excited and get people involved and understanding type 1 and some things that they can do. And yeah, and bringing in pets, you can never go wrong. I think it's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
amazing.
for sure. Thank you so much for having me too. It's really awesome to be able to share
Of course.
with other people.
Of course. Well, thank you, and I wish you all the best and all the best on your book. May you have many, many more people buy it. It's amazing. And thank you for doing this for our community.
Yeah, of course.
All righty, all the best. Okay.
Bye.
Bye. So you want to pick up a copy? Go to Amazon, type in the title, Sam the Dog with Diabetes. This book was one of the best-selling books for children's illnesses. It's amazing, inspirational. Buy a copy.